Hi, we're Weekend Football, and my name's Mike.
My name is Laith.
And my name's Ross.
Weekend Football is a website that provides users with data, statistics, our forecasts of football scores for the coming weekend, best odds from your favourite bookmakers, and any promotions and specials that are being offered right now. Football Coupon is an app that we launched a couple of years ago and is available on Apple, Android, and it's coming available in German, Italian, Portuguese, and some more European languages in the pipeline.
So we've got a few competitions on the go already. We've got Fantasy Premier League and Super 6 League. Have a look on Twitter for the codes for that to enter for VIP tickets to Manchester United. We've just finished competition where you review our app on iTunes, and the people are being drawn at random for tickets to Manchester United. So we've got a few topics for today. We've got who will be challenging for the title. We've got our club's wise to spend the mass amounts of money gained from one player with numerous signings. And we've got who will be relegated. And then we're touching more on the lower league, so who will win the Championship, League 1 and League 2. And finally, our bets for the weekend. So for our first topic, we've got who will be challenging for the title. Ross, who do you think?
Yeah, I think it's going to be quite an open Premier League season. I think there'll be 6 or 7 teams going for it. If you look at the likes of, obviously, Chelsea and City would be up there. Arsenal have spent well, Liverpool, United, and I think Spurs and Everton will be chasing it down as well. My favourites personally are Chelsea. I think Mourinho has spent well on genuine world-class players. He's sort of raided Atletico Madrid slightly, brought in Diego Costa, Felipe Luis. If they had Costa last year, I think they would have won the title. They're going to be strong at home again. They only lost there once last year. So yeah, I think me personally, I think Chelsea are the favourites this season.
I think you can see why the bookies have got them favourites. They were almost seemed like Mourinho had given up with a couple of months to go and said they're not going to win it. But you know, Costa and Fabregas coming in with the best defence in the Premier League, and I think Mourinho driving the ship. It'll be very tough for anyone to get past Chelsea, I think, next season. I'm probably going to go a bit tighter and see the 2 Manchester teams up there. Yes, even Manchester United finishing an abysmal 7th. I think things will change there, especially if they buy a few more players. But if I had to put money on one team, I think it would have to be Chelsea.
But don't you think Diego Costa's a bit unpredictable? I mean, he's only had one good season at Atletico. Didn't do anything for Spain in the
Yeah, I think at the World Cup he did look a bit tired. I mean, Atletico did quite well on all sort of domestic and European fronts last year, so I think that may have had something to do with his World Cup form. I think he's just suited to the Premier League. He's strong, physical, and that's been mentioned a lot, but he's actually also got a very good first touch and he's pretty quick. So I think he could be the man to replace Drogba, and I wouldn't be surprised if he got 20 goals this season.
We've got Paddy Power. I've got Chelsea at Hans at 15-2, which is quite a good price. You can find that on weekendfootball.co.uk. What we're thinking about Arsenal, Alexis Sanchez.
Yeah, I think they're actually. Well, I've got Chelsea as first. I could see Arsenal coming second. I think Sanchez, again, he's suited to the Premier League, quite physical, quite quick, quite direct. They've also brought in a couple of other good players in Debuchy, Chambers. They've now got 3 World Cup winners in the squad with Podolski, Ozil and Mertesacker, so there's plenty of experience there. I think Ramsey's only going to get better. So, yeah, I think
if he stays injury-free.
Yeah, that's the biggest.
Do they have a big enough squad, though, compared to last season? They always seem to struggle with just having enough players and then the injuries.
That's always been their problem, though, hasn't it?
Has it changed?
No, and they still managed to get 4th place. So
I think I can't see them winning it, but I can see them coming second. I think if you look at their previous seasons, they've always done quite well up until February, March time. It's when they hit the sort of latter stages of Champions League that they seem to have one result, and then it just seems to finish their season, really. But I think this year, more experience, more genuine world-class quality. I think they'll be right up there come the end of the season, although I do think Chelsea will edge them out.
No one's mentioned Liverpool second last year.
Yeah, second last year. I think we might come on to it later. Obviously, you saw last year Tottenham replace a world-class player with a few players. Liverpool seem to have taken a similar strategy this year. I think they could actually have a season that Arsenal usually have. I think they get to February, March time, and then maybe start to feel the effects of the extra games throughout Europe and the travel. Steven Gerrard's another year older. They do rely on him a lot. Luis Suarez is obviously gone. So it'd be interesting to see.
Well, taking half the Southampton team, they're used to travelling.
Yeah.
Betfair, quite a good offer at the moment. Bet on the Premier League outright win and receive £5 each time your team plays throughout August and September. So that
Great offer.
Is definitely worth to get on. That's for all customers as well. So on to the next point. We've got, are clubs wise to spend the mass amounts of money gained from one player on numerous signings? Leif, what do you think?
Well, I suppose we've got a few examples in recent years. Probably, I guess, Suarez is the most recent one, but before that we had Bale going for 86 million pounds. I think Villas-Boas spent it all, like almost the week he got the money, like a little excited boy who just got opened his piggy bank. Most of them flopped, I think. Some Tottenham fans may disagree with me, but I'm not sure what happened with Soldado.
Was quoted after he left about he didn't sanction, I think, half the signings, but
he's blaming it on someone else.
Yeah,
okay,
Baldini, I think.
I suppose United had a similar sort of situation a few years back, but their scenario is slightly different, given they had several £100 million of debt to service. So the 80 million that they got for Cristiano Ronaldo, I think they spent something like, I think it was about 16 million on Valencia. Michael Owen was free, and Gabriel Obertan, they spent about 3 million, and Valencia's the only one left. I think their accounts stated that they'd spent about half of the money on debt, interest and charges. So it's not quite the same for United, who Ferguson managed to hold together for his last 8 years on no midfield, or no new midfield anyway.
So we've got Man United, we've got Liverpool recently. They've made 8 signings so far, and they don't sound like they're going to stop.
I think it remains to be seen, really. I think the United never really, as Leif said, spent the Ronaldo money on transfers. The next team, I suppose, to do it were Tottenham. They're reported 80 to 90 million for Gareth Bale, bought in about 8 players. I think it's maybe slightly harsh to judge it straight away. I think if you look at most players coming from abroad, they take at least a couple of seasons to adapt to Premier League football. So the likes of Lamela, Soldado, Paulinho, they didn't have the greatest of seasons last year, but there's no reason why they can't turn it around this year and kick on. And Liverpool, similar strategy. They've brought in a lot of players to replace Suarez. I think Lallana will be a hit. Not sure about Lambert, and I'm not sort of Markovic, people like that. I couldn't say I've seen him play too much. So it remains to be seen for Liverpool, really.
Yeah, I'm not sure it's the sort of change in the football style. We had United had Fellaini come down the M62 from Everton, and he didn't have a very good first season. They paid 27.5 million for him. I think that was the
scored
first
the other day, though.
He did. He scored in the dying seconds of a friendly match, but he was the first. Fellaini was the first midfielder they bought since Anderson, sort of back in 2007. So. It would be nice to have 80 million in the bank to go and spend, and I think they'd be wiser spending it on 2 or 3 players as opposed to 7 or 8.
So we're in agreement that too many signings in one transfer window is a bit.
I think if you buy them all within the period of a month or a few weeks, like AVB seem to have done, it doesn't really make sense. I think a more cautious approach with sort of spreading it over a period would be probably better, and getting those players to fit into the team.
Well, here's an example. Quite a few of you have forgotten about. Chelsea 2003-2004. They signed Glenn Johnson, Alexis Merton, Jeremy, Veron, Damien Duff, Wayne Bridge, Adrian Mutu, whatever you want to call it, Joe Cole, Hernan Crespo, Claude Makelele, Neil Sullivan, Marco Ambrosio, Jurgen Macho and Scott Parker, totaling 121 million in one season. They spent they spent 121 million and they came second that season. And then the next 2 seasons, they went on to win the Premier League.
Is that the year, by any chance, they had an injection of cash from Russia?
Yeah.
They did have an injection in cash from Russia, but the season after, they spent another 121 million. So that's 2 seasons. So Chelsea have managed to do it for 2 seasons in a row, yet Tottenham and Liverpool have yet to get their season underway, but Tottenham and Man United, not so much.
I'm pretty sure, yeah, a lot of that was to do with Abramovich wanting to make his mark on the Premier League. If you look at their major contributors to winning those titles, you'd look at the likes of Terry, Lampard, Cech. I mean, if you went through that list again, how many of those would have been sort of key cogs in those title challenges? Maybe Makelele,
Ramirez.
Damien Duff was quite a feature in a couple of seasons, even though we didn't.
I think
Robin came the year after.
You could argue Robin, Makelele, Duff, maybe Crespo as well. But apart from that,
let's not go back too far. I can't remember what I had for breakfast, let alone what happened 9-10 years ago.
Okay, to break up the football talk, we decided to do a weird story of the week. So here it is. So this happened at Charlton Station in southeast London a couple of days ago, I think. So the news article read, "Suspected burglar hid in tree in 17-hour police standoff." So the trains are cancelled for an entire day as a suspected burglar refuses to come down from a branch overhanging a railway line. This doesn't get any better than this. This is the amount of services that were disrupted by this burglar. So the chief inspector, Jenny Gilmer, said the man had been there in the tree since the early hours of the morning, and his return to the ground marked the end of a difficult and lengthy operation involving British Transport Police, the Met Police, London Fire and Rescue, Network Rail and South East Trains.
It's classic England, really, overreacting to everything. I think I saw something similar the other day where there was a bloke threatening to jump and he was about 10 foot off the ground. He barely would have broken a nail, yet there was still a ridiculous amount of services.
Most countries in the world would have shot him out of the tree and moved on.
There you go.
So we've touched on titles. So who's going to get relegated?
I think from the teams that came up, Burnley are probably the most likely to go back down. I quite fancy Leicester to do well. Relegation, Villa were pretty atrocious last season, and Paul Lambert having Roy Keane as an assistant. I'm looking forward to some of the fireworks. I don't think it's going to be the most harmonious relationship or the easiest subordinate to work with in Roy Keane. I don't think West Brom are going to manage.
With a similar view, really. West Brom, I can't think of any decent players they've bought in, really. The managers, I think, is he come through the academy?
What, Alan Irvine?
Yeah.
No, he came from Everton's academy.
Right,
he
yeah.
managed a few lower leagues before. But,
I think the experience at the top level in terms of keeping a team up in the Premier League can be quite important. If you look at the likes of Sam Allardyce, managers like that. Aston Villa, I just can't see
you never know how they're going to do.
Yeah, Paul Lambert says every year we just want these players to improve, and maybe they improve slightly, but they still need to bring people in. I think Benteke is injured for the start of the season, so that'll be a big miss for them in terms of goals. There's still a couple of weeks of the transfer window left. If Ron Vlaar goes, I think they're definitely down. They're goners. If they manage to keep him, they've got a hope. But
I don't know. They've had quite a young squad for about 2 years now, and there was a size of improvement last season. So
there were signs, but we thought. Well, I thought individually that they would sort of kick on from the season before and maybe finish mid-table last season, but they were still sort of in the mire, sort of towards the end. And I also think Burnley. I don't think they've strengthened well enough. I think they're struggle at Premier League level. And yeah, I can just see them going straight back down.
Nothing. Anyone know? No QPR?
I think they'll be okay.
Yeah, I think they've strengthened well in defence. Classic Redknapp, really. Bought in Colker and Ferdinand. I think they'll do well. Still got Remy at the moment. He's a proven Premier League goal scorer. So as long as they've got a good defence and a top striker, I think they'll be okay.
Championship. We've got Fulham. We've got Norwich. Watford started pretty well. Where are we going in the Championship?
I'm going to go for a bit of a outsider this year, a bit of a dark horse. I quite like the looks of Middlesbrough. I think it's Aiko Karanka that's come in as their manager last season, who had a sort of apprenticeship, if you like, at Real Madrid. He's brought in a striker called Kike from the Spanish second divisions. He looks like a good player and could score a lot of goals. They have lost Jukovic to Burnley, who was one of their key players last year. So I think they will miss him, but they also had the third best defensive record, at home. I think they conceded just 20 goals last year. So if they can keep that sort of form up and improve their away form, I think they'll be right up there come the end of the season.
And Leif, you're a bit of a fan of Reading?
I'm not a fan, but I think they're a strong team. I'd fancy that Cardiff will return, bottom of the table Cardiff, above Norwich and ahead of Norwich and Fulham. And I fancy Wigan and Reading to join them in the Premiership season after next.
League One, what are we going for? We got Sheffield United were favourites at the beginning of the season, but they didn't do too well against fellow promotion rivals Bristol City.
Yeah, a bit of a blip at the weekend. I think for me personally, they're the one I've tipped to go up. I think it's since Nigel Clough come in October, I think he's managed to turn their form around.
It was relegation to 7th, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly. He knows the club quite well. I mean, they've got a Premier League infrastructure. If you look at the grounds and the crowds they get. So yeah, I think they'll be right up there at the end of the year with a full pre-season under Nigel Clough. They can only get better. They've got Jose Baxter in midfield, who looks like quite a good passer of the ball. So yeah, I think they'll be right up there at the end of the year.
I think I'll just select one team that I fancy taking the title, and I'm going to go for Preston, who have a very, very strong home record. Probably drew too many games last season, but if they can turn some of those draws into victories, I think they'll be doing all right.
Yeah, keeping hold of Joe Garner, their top scorer last season, scored absolute cracker in Rotherham playoff final. If you've missed that, then have a look at that. Quite fancy Fleetwood at the moment. They're managed by former Preston legend Graham Alexander. They came up last year and they kind of blew away League Two. They've only been in the division, I think, 3-4 years, but yeah.
I think that it'd be a close run thing between Fleetwood, Bristol City, and Sheffield United, but I think the Blades will go up despite a close shave.
And finally, we've got League Two. We've got Luton, who are favourites, who went up last year. That's quite miraculous for them to be favourites after a promotion. It
is. They stormed the conference. Their goal difference was something like 30 ahead of second place Cambridge, which is incredible considering they were 19 points behind them. They're just smashing in the goals. I can see that may well happen. Very short price, though, for a team that's just come up.
I personally think Burton will be up there come the end of the year. They've suffered playoff heartbreak now, 2 seasons running, but I think they can only grow from it, really, and grow from the experience, and hopefully it'll be third time lucky for them. Obviously, York will be up there with I think they went 18 games unbeaten last season, which was the longest in the Football League. They'll be up there as well, but I think Burton will learn from their playoff mistakes and get promoted this year.
So our last topic is covering weekend football. So we got our PL6 and PL10, which you can find on Twitter right now. Retweet those before 12:45 on Saturday morning, and you could be in with some money if they all come in, which they should.
Let's hope so.
A few controversial games. We've got Stoke versus Villa, and we've gone for a home win.
I'm not sure that's that controversial, given what we talked about Villa earlier. They're a bit unpredictable at Stoke at home last season and the season before. We were calling it Fortress Britannia, weren't we, for a good 3, 4, 5 months. True. So I don't think that's so tough. I think it's the draws which are difficult to find.
So we've got QPR home, West Brom, Sunderland. Draws are always difficult.
Can't choose between any of those teams winning, to be honest.
No, they're hard ones to call. So yeah, I think draw looks like a likely result.
Can't even see any of those teams scoring, if I'm really frank.
Yeah, it could be no score draws.
And then we've got our BTTS plus result.
Yeah, we had a lot of success with these last year. We had 4 or possibly 5, I think it was, returns greater than 77 to 1, including 2 very big ones. So we're going to take the same approach again this season. And the way that we select them is that we sort of turn it the other way around, really, and look at who's scoring goals, who's conceding, and then decide which way the match is going to go. I think when first looking at the first approach I took was looking at who's going to win it, and often we were missing out where teams just didn't score. So we've sort of turned it around a bit, and the teams that I've chosen for this weekend are Middlesbrough to win away at Leeds with both teams to score. That's an early kick-off on Saturday at 12:15. But I never like doing early kick-offs because you can see your bet disappear very, very early. But if it doesn't, it makes watching the later games more exciting.
Then you're back chasing.
Then I've got Everton to win away at Leicester with both teams to score. I think initially thought that could potentially be a draw, but I think Everton are going to be a bit too strong for Leicester. And then Wigan to win at Charlton. The returns, I think the odds often come out best at Coral on this market. So check the latest prices on Weekend Football or in Football Coupon app. It's about 148 to 1 for those 3 teams to win and both teams to score.
Well, hope it comes through. Thanks for listening, guys. Check out our website. We've got weekendfootball.co.uk. We've got our app, footballcoupon.co.uk. Check out our Twitter, @weekendfootball. And we check out our Facebook as well, /weekendfootball. Next show, we'll be looking at the Sky games for the next week, for the next Premier League games. We've got Everton versus Arsenal, which is on 12:45 kickoff. I think it's on BT Sport. And we've got Hull City versus Stoke at 1:30 on Sunday. And we've got Sunderland Man United at 4. They're both on Sky. And then we've got Man City Liverpool on Monday night, which is a big one.